Shalom everybody, hope you're doing well. Sending blessings from the city of Jerusalem right before Shabbat. Hope your week was well, meaningful, positive. And we enter into this special Shabbat as we begin the last book of the Torah, the book of Devarim. And learn the Parshat called also Devarim. And just a few days before the day of Tisha B'Av, which commemorates the destruction of the first and second temples that stood long ago in Jerusalem, as well as being the anniversary of other Jewish calamities and tragedies. It's an intense time that we're in right now as we get closer and closer to this day. Shabbat is always an ocean of consolation and of peace and hopefully deeper comprehension of the world. But Tisha B'Av offers us and poses a lot of challenges to us, a lot of questions. Right, and just as thinking about this, talking about this, I'm remembering a Torah from Rabbi Shlomo Kalibach that he says as we enter into Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, like what should we be davening for? Right, what should we be praying for? And one of the things he says, among the many things that we could and should be praying for, is just simply standing in front of God and saying, God, please give me some sense of understanding of what's going on in the world. I have no idea what's going on in the world. I don't understand anything. Just give me some sense of some understanding. And sometimes the world gets so dark and gets so confusing and we have no idea what's going on. We don't understand anything. And it, God forbid, it could be paralyzing, right? And if there ever were people that walk this earth that knows how to get through challenges and tragedies, right, it's the Jewish people. And this Shabbat specifically really gives us that ability. It shines on us that light that could guide us through the darkness. Right? This Parshat Devarim is always read right before Tisha B'Av. And the Shabbat has a special name called Shabbat Chazon from the special Haftarah that we read that talks about the Chazon Yeshayahu, the vision of Jeremiah, right, who lived in the time of the destruction of the first temple and saw through his prophecies that the destruction was coming. If the Jewish people didn't change their ways, the destruction was going to come, and unfortunately the ways didn't get changed and the destruction did come. But there's also a vision of the future, even throughout all the calamities and all the destructions, through all the darkness. Right? There's a vision for a brighter future. And this is what the Shabbat is able to give us. Right? We know that on Tisha B'Av we read the special book written by Jeremiah called Eicha. Right? And this word also shows up in the Torah portion, this week's Torah portion. Right? Moses is basically speaking to Am Yisrael for the last 5 weeks of his life, giving over kind of like, a review on some level of the whole Torah and giving his last words of direction and inspiration to the Jewish people before he leaves this world. And in this week's Torah portion, in this one line, he uses the word Eicha, right? He talks about how. Right? How was I able to bear the burden of this people who at some points, right, despite their good points, were so challenging at times. And this word Eicha, right, which is translated as how, which is just kind of sums up so many of our questions. How is it possible that things like this happen in the world? How is it possible that things have gone this way? Right? How did things go this way? And it again encapsulates so many of the questions that we feel in life, both individually as a nation and as a global society, when things go in directions that we can't understand and we didn't expect. Right? So this word Eicha, as many of the commentators and many of the rabbis speak about, also shows up in one of the first stories of the entire Torah, right, of Adam and Eve, Adam and Chava, when they're in the Gan Eden. Yep, exactly. Right, that's Noah Kedem. Exactly, Nagis. Exactly. Right, that word Eicha shows up in the story also of Adam and Eve, right, in a different form, the same exact letters, but pronounced a little differently. Ayeka. Right? And it's when Adam and Eve have eaten from the tree, and God is basically trying to speak to them, find them in the Garden of Eden, and is looking for them, but Adam and Eve are hiding. And Hashem, God says to them, Ayeka, where are you? Where are you? But it's the same exact letters as Eicha, right? As this deep question of how, why are things happening this way? Right? And when we look at that story, exactly, I'll be right with you, Nagis, okay? Right, when we look at that story, and we compare it to this week's Torah portion and to the special reading that we read on Tisha B'Av, there's a very deep connection. Right? Because God was asking us, where are you? Ayeka. And when we ask our questions, how and why and all those other things, we're asking that same question to God. Right? Where are you? How could this possibly be? How could it possibly be that all this destruction happens in the world? How could it be that the first and second temples were destroyed? How could it possibly be that all these calamities, right, have befallen the Jewish people, any people in the world? Why is there suffering? Why is there pain? All of our deepest questions are addressed by this one word. Right? And as we enter into Tisha B'Av, this day that we just don't understand a thing, we have no clue. We have this one Shabbat before. Right? And this one Shabbat before gives us a chance to find the light, to hold on to the light, to use that light to guide us in the darkness. Right? The Shabbat of Chazon, of vision. Right? We need this vision. If we're going to get through this world, if we're going to get through this confusion and this suffering and this pain, right, we need vision. Right? We need the deepest vision of the deepest prophets of ancient Israel to help us, to guide us. Say, okay, I don't understand a thing. I don't even see a thing. It's so dark, but I know, somewhere deep in my heart that there's a light, that there is a hope, that there is a future. Right? And with that, we're able to survive. With that, the Jewish people were able to survive. Without that, we would have been gone a long time ago. And maybe that's one of the greatest things that we can give the world. Right? We can share with ourselves, we can share with our people, we can share with the world, and never give up. There's always a hope, there's always a vision. Hold on to that vision. It's the vision for the entire world, not just for the Jewish people, but for everybody. Right? It's what we're here to do, to bring that vision into reality. And know that despite the darkness, even through the darkness, right, there's deep hope and there's deep vision. Please, God, we should be blessed on this Shabbat to see the light, to find that light, to internalize that light, and to use that light in the next few days on Tisha B'Av, to see through all the darkness and see Tisha B'Av what it's meant to be, that we learn that Tisha B'Av is going to be in the future a holiday, a day of celebration, of simcha and joy. We learn that the Mashiach was born on Tisha B'Av, right? That we're going to turn this darkness completely into light, right? But we can only do with vision, and this Shabbat offers us that vision. Please, God, we should be blessed, you and me together, to really feel, see, internalize that vision. I'm sending you much, much love from the city of Yerushalayim, where it all began, where all is going to come together. Lots of love, right, from Jerusalem. Shabbat Shalom.